Good morning, ma'am. I am Aljon Adap, based in Criminology, Section Bravo. Here is our video presentation regarding to the personalities granted by the Executive Clemency. Uh, First and foremost, what is Executive Clemency? Executive Clemency refers to reprieve, absolute pardon, conditional pardon, with or without parole conditions and commutations of sentence as may be granted by the President of the Philippines. Meaning, the Executive Clemency only granted by the Chief Executive of the Philippines or President of the Philippines. Now, here are some personalities granted by the Executive Clemency. Number one is Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. He was convicted for the crime of plunder, and she was sentenced the imprisonment of 10 to 20 years. He was 79 years old and poor in health. She suffered from cervical spondylosis. What is a cervical radiculopathy? It happens when a nerve root in your neck or cervical spine becomes compressed or pinched and inflamed. This compression has two main causes: degenerative changes that happen in your spine as you age, cervical spondylosis, a herniated bulging disc in your neck. Granting executive clemency to Arroyo would be an act of compassion and allow her to spend her remaining years in freedom with her family. Arroyo has expressed a remorse for her actions and has sought forgiveness from the Filipino people. Number 2, Joseph Estrada. Crime. He was convicted for the crime of plunder. He was sentenced to reclusion perpetua. Joseph Estrada, the 13th President of the Philippines. He served over 6 years in detention before granted executive clemency by then President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo in 2007. Qualifications why he was qualified for the executive clemency. At the time of his pardon, Estrada was 70 years old and in poor health. He had suffered from several medical conditions, including hypertension, diabetes, and arthritis. Joseph Estrada Estrada expressed remorse for his actions and publicity, apologized to the Filipino people, and then committed to no longer seek public office. Estrada pledged not to seek any elective positions or office in the future. Policy of releasing inmates who reach the age of 70. The Philippine government had a policy of releasing an inmates who had reached the age of 70. Now, Estrada met his accreditations because he was during his pardon he was 70 years old.
Good day, ma'am. I am Roel B. Alcasin Jr. and I will be continue the discussion of Aljon Adap, that is granting executive clemency in the Philippines. Number 3 is Joseph Scott Pemberton. The crime is homicides. The sentence is 10 to 12 years of imprisonment, and the year of clemency is 2020. An absolute pardon granted by former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Reason for grant executive clemency. Pemberton was an American former U.S. Marine who had been convicted of killing transgender woman named Jennifer Loud in 2014. The United States government had requested his clemency, and the Philippine government granted it in the interest of maintaining strong ties between the two countries. Pemberton had already served a significant portion of his sentence. He had served over 5 years in prison, which is more than the half of his 10-year sentence. Pemberton had showing good behavior while in a prison. He had no disciplinary infractions and was described as a model prisoner. Pemberton expressed remorse for his actions. He apologized to the Loud family and said that he regret the killing. The US government had made significant concessions to the Philippines and connections with the Pemberton's case. These concessions include the removal of Pemberton from the US military and the waiver of his immunity from the prosecution. The number 4 granted executive clemency is Ruben Padilla. The crime is illegal possession of firearms. Sentence, reclusion temporal, 6 to 12 years of imprisonment. The reason of grant executive clemency, he served 3 years in prison before being granted conditional pardon by then the President Fidel V. Ramos in 2016. He was granted absolute pardon by the President Rodrigo Duterte. The severity of the crime. Padilla's crime was illegal possession of firearms, which is a serious offense in the Philippines. However, it is not as serious as some other crimes that are often granted executive clemency, such as murder or rape. The offenders, remorse Padilla has expressed remorse for his crime on numerous occasions. He has also apologized to the victims of his crimes and has vowed to never commit another crime.
Good day, ma'am. I'm Jobert Maningo. So, fifth personalities granted by the Executive Clemency of the Philippines is Jubito Plameras. Jubito Plameras' crime is graft. Sentence, imprisonment for 4 years and 2 months year of clemency. 2016 reasons for clemency. Plameras was a former governor who had been in prison for 4 years. He had agreed to pay the government 2.65 billion in damages. Former President Duterte has granted conditional pardon to former Antique government and Representative Jubito Plameras, who was convicted of graft in 2008. But the pardon to take effect, Plameras has to pay the Antique provincial government 2.65 million. According to an order dated December 8, 2016, which was released by the Office of the President. Through his lawyer, Plameras Itito sought executive clemency, citing his age and health condition.
Good day, ma'am. I'm Francisco Junior Bisaga. I'm the last reporter of the Group 3. I'm the one who report of the last personalities who granted by the Executive Clemency of the Philippines. So, the last personalities is Hiro Onoda. Humanitarian reasons. Hiro Onoda, the last known Japanese soldier to surrender after World War II, was granted a full pardon by Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos in 1974. Onoda's isolation. Onoda had been living in the jungle for 29 years and he was in poor health. Marcos felt that it would be inhuman to force him to stand trial. Onoda's lack of awareness. Onoda had not been aware that the war was over. and he believed that he was still a soldier fighting for his country. Marcos felt that Onoda was not responsible for his actions. Onoda willingness to surrender. Onoda had agreed to surrender on the condition that he pardoned by the Philippine government. Marcos felt that Onoda had shown remorse for his action and that he deserved a chance to start a new life. So that would be all the personalities that we've chosen who granted by the executive clemency of the Philippines.